Welcome to the Cal Park Bros podcast. I'm your host, Terrence, and with me is my co host, Jason, calling in from the Batcave in Indianapolis. Jason, how are you, my good man?
I'm doing very well, sir. As people can tell, I'm not wearing glasses this week, so things are all right with the world. It's great. Also, very happy because I was very aware that you'd be wearing red because I had a red shirt on right before you hit the record button, so I went ahead and changed it. So, we started a good pattern last week about not wearing the same color shirts as each other and not wearing red. So I wanted to keep it going, so I had to make sure I changed it to blue again. So next week could be something different, folks. Keep an eye out for that.
Yes, definitely keep an eye out for Jason's per usual contrarianism. Folks, thank you for listening. This is episode 14 of the Cal Park Bros podcast. For the uninitiated, Cal Park Bros is a weekly podcast for fans of culture, sports, and entertainment.
And as always, we are your hosts, Terrence and Jason. And every single Thursday, we release a brand new episode where we discuss the current events of the day, sports, and athletes we love.
And even some of the athletes we loathe. No matter the topic, you can expect a brutally honest and fun exchange of snark while learning through the lens of our 30 years of friendship that originated in Calumet Park, Illinois.
For more Cal Park Bros content, connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Just search for Cal Park Bros or Cal Park Bros podcast for more behind the scenes of the Cal Park Bros show and to engage with us every single day. But also, the Cal Park Bros podcast is available to listen to and subscribe for free wherever you listen to podcasts.
Like us, love us, share us, follow us. And if you like us, why wouldn't you?
Amen to that, brother. Best line, podcast history.
Yes,
Boom.
sir. At least our podcast history.
Exactly.
All right, let's get this show on the road. Another fun week planned or show planned regarding some more crazy shit that happened out in the world. If you're the certain type of person that follows the fallout from the January 6th siege on the Capitol, trying to contest the results of the election, congratulations. We just had the first sentencing of a Capitol rioter. Jason, you came up with this topic. Apparently, some schmuck named Paul Hodgkins is going to be doing some time. CNN reports that the first Capitol rioter convicted of a felony is going to get 8 months in the slammer after the Department of Justice said a stiffer sentence could prevent future attacks like this. Paul Hodgkins is a 38-year-old Floridian. Shock, Florida. Is now the first Capitol rioter convicted of a felony to be sentenced. He pleaded guilty last month to obstructing congressional proceedings, specifically the counting of the electoral votes, which he helped delay on January 6th. He spent about 15 minutes inside the Senate chamber wearing a Donald Trump shirt and carrying a Trump flag. The sentence is far less than the 1.5-year prison term that the Justice Department requested. At a hearing Monday, prosecutors argued that 1.5 years would deter future political violence and send a strong warning to people who may be contemplating a second act after January 6th. District Judge Randolph Moss departed from that recommendation. He said Hodgkins contributed to a grave offense against democracy, but deserves some leniency because he pleaded guilty exceptionally early, and wasn't involved in violence and issued a sincere apology. Jason, what are your thoughts on that?
I guess I would ask you my thoughts on the sentence or the reasoning behind why he only got 8 months instead of the full year and a half.
Let's start with the sentence, the fact that it's 8 months.
So, I mean, I know when every case that comes up that's a big in the media case and the sentence comes out, it's always debated, does this person get enough? Was it too much? I guess most recently that was the case when it comes to Derek Chauvin when he got his sentence. People were saying, was it enough? Was it too much? So I guess whenever all these come up, including for Mr. Hodgkins here for the Capitol rioters, it's going to be, is 8 months enough based off what they did? I don't know if I want to get into that. I'm not a legal expert by any means, and you might be, but I know I'm not. But I will say this: that he may be sorry for what he did. And I think the article goes into the fact he, claims he was sorry. Blah blah blah. he quit drinking, started going to church and all that stuff like that. So he probably does feel sorry for what he did. Great. You still did it. Um, and just because you were the first one to cop a plea, okay. eh, I don't know if that deserves leniency just because of that. The part about him not being involved in any violence, do we know that? Was there video evidence of him the entire time showing he wasn't involved in any violence? I mean, I don't know how they were. The number of people that were there, the fact that they were able to identify anybody, that's fantastic. But
Oh yeah, they identified hella people. So this
well,
is just going to be one of many. Thank goodness.
yeah, we're gonna get into those numbers later exactly. But yeah, it's I didn't realize it was that many, but exactly. So him getting only 8 months, yeah, it's 8 months of a felony. He's going to be serving time in prison. At some point, that's going to, you know, for lack of a better word, ruin his life because you get any felony on you, that's gonna not gonna help you. And forevermore, he's going to be known as a capital rioter. Now, some people may look at him as a hero. I'm sure. I'm not sure if they all look at him that way when it comes to him getting a job going forward or any other aspect of life. I don't know. But he's always going to be known as a capital rioter, and that's why he was in prison for 8 months. That wouldn't change if he was there for a year and a half. So I'll say that. Um, but what my thought goes into is also when we see all these cases that come up in the news where it's a crime committed by multiple people, we look at, okay, this crime sets a precedence. So he's the first one, like we said. And so my mind went to, okay, here's your precedence. Now let's focus on the two leaders or people who are considered the leaders of the riots when it comes to. So this guy got 8 months. He committed no violence. So now what the leaders are going to get? And two leaders are an Ethan Nordine, 30 years old from Washington State, and not the university, but the state of Washington, and Joseph Biggs, 37, also out of Florida. And you mentioned Hodgkins, also from Florida as well. So here's three individuals who don't live in Washington, D.C. So them and probably many of the other people came from wherever they came from to take part in this. So I don't know, and I don't really care if what happened wasn't intended to be a riot, but that's what it turned into. So these people came from wherever they came from to do this. So I believe just that alone deserves no leniency, and they should get the maximum what they did. We talked about last week the guy from Iowa going to Chicago in the hotel room with the gun. So, and I mentioned that makes it worse because you came from wherever the hell you were living to go somewhere else to commit this crime. So again, I don't know again if the riot thing was just something that happened or they planned it, but I'd say it doesn't really matter because you probably weren't up to no good in the first place to come from all the way across the country, Washington State to DC, and then from Florida, which isn't a hop, skip, and a jump at all. So I don't think any leniency should be deserved. I mean, 8 months is 8 months of prison. You can't take that away. Uh, he may not even serve the full 8, but yeah, I don't see why he or anybody else should get any leniency when it comes to this because most people in America, not everybody, unfortunately, but most people are going to look at this as a stain on America, at least when it happened. So that's my thought. No leniency should be given. Hopefully, he takes that time he gets in prison and learns something, and he really is sorry and whatever. But yeah, 8 months. Eh, it's probably a little slap on the wrist. But what do you think?
I mean, the fact that any of these dudes, I'm sorry, that's sexist. It was hella women at this motherfucker too, and y'all deserve to fry as well because it was despicable what happened at that riot. But none of those fine folks can claim, oh, we didn't know what we were getting ourselves into. Like, nothing about the Trump supporter experience tells me that, oh yeah, we can jump off at any stop of this train route of crazy. Like it's either all or nothing. And the same thing, it also cracks me up that in that CNN article, by the way, that they said he stopped drinking alcohol. He found Jesus, and he also got the COVID vaccine. Like,
What does the COVID vaccine have to do with any of that? It also makes you a good human being now because you combine that with finding Jesus and stop drinking. Oh, and I got the COVID vaccine. That means I'm a saint now. I got the COVID
That
vaccine.
motherfucker thought that he had like gone to the pearly gates, and God was like, "Hey man, I'm real close to a decision. Like, hold on, fam, but I've been doing good these last 4 months. I done found Jesus in the COVID vac."
He's vaxxed and waxed. There you go.
Oh my God. He's got the blood of Jesus and the vaccination of Pfizer.
He's good. He's got the magic pill. He's good. Oh, he's
No
all
weapon,
good.
no weapon, no weapon.
Be it
oh,
biological or physical.
oh my God. You listen. I'm not saying. First off, he got a good ass lawyer because I promise you, once dude found out, yeah, probably gonna be the first motherfucker they make an example out of. He started apologizing like a motherfucker, I bet. And he should have. That's good strategy. If you know you're fucked in a criminal case like that, just objectively, yeah, beg for fucking mercy. Smartest thing he could have did. Um, a moment of rationale. He may have shared 1,000,001 lock her up fucking Facebook bullshit posts before that. But now who's having the last laugh? No. But hey, smarter than he looks.
Is he though?
I'm not worried about the people that change their tune when it's a matter of life and death and spending the rest of their life behind fucking bars. I'm not worried about those people, Jason. I'm worried about the motherfuckers that are like doubling down after January 6th. Those are the people that I'm worried about.
Like, what do you mean?
That it'll be, I mean, it's almost August at this point. Hell, pretty soon we'll be coming up on the 1 year anniversary of that. And after that, midterm elections. And my concern is always that sort of crazy just doesn't show up for presidential year elections. That sort of crazy shows up at your school district hearings. Okay? That is my concern. You know, we don't want to be a prisoner of the moment. First off, let me just state, thank God these people are getting time for this because it's really the only way you can discourage this level of fuckery. Okay?
Well, we don't know who's getting time. We don't know what's going to happen to anybody else. We don't
Well,
know.
right, Jason, I'm not disputing that. But right now, Department of Justice is batting 1,000. The only way they can not bat 1,000 is if basically they let some of these motherfuckers walk. I can only see them being okay with that if they like rolled on like everybody within the Trump organization who was involved in this shit. So for me, it's a step in the right direction. You got to start somewhere. This is the first time that the Department of Justice has really had the opportunity to make an example out of somebody involved with that January 6th riot. I know there's more coming. I feel like we're going to have to pay attention to that, Jason, just to see who else is going to do time based off of this. And we're also going to have to pay attention to, certain statements about responses. I mean, for Christ's sake, Nancy Pelosi is going back and forth with some of these Republican congressmen about who needs to be on that committee hearing about the January 6th riot in the first damn place. And you got two people that basically wouldn't vote to certify the results. So, yeah, fuck those guys.
I always love Terrence and his hard nosed stances. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But hey, a couple of points here. So I mentioned earlier the leaders, quote unquote, of this Ethan Nordine and Joseph Biggs. So they probably are. I haven't seen any, you know, prospectus in what's how much time they could be facing, but they have two different charges, rather two additional charges compared to Hodgkins. But those two are alleged to have conspired to hinder congressional actions and obstruct law enforcement, but also destruction of federal property. Um, I've known a few people locally who've gotten in trouble for damaging federal property, and I know what charges they got and what jail sentences they got. So I'm not sure if it's increased at all because you damaged the Capitol building of our country. But they probably are in line to get more than 8 months or a year and a half. Just my guess. But so before we talked about the astronomical number of people who are in line to get criminal charges, basically get guilty charges of this. So according to an article I found, I have to pull it back up here, but I believe it was from CBS News. It is that they've arrested 535 people when it comes to the Capitol riots, and there's 300, actually more than 300 additional people who are still unidentified. So combine that together, more than 835 people. And you gotta, I'm sure I'll definitely say out here on the air or on wax, as you say, that's your Terrenceism. That there's probably, I'll give them credit. There probably are people who were there that were smart enough to realize, hey, I shouldn't be storming this Capitol. They probably left and went home. So that's going back to what I was saying before. That's another reason why these people should get no leniency, because they probably had plenty of opportunities to say, okay, maybe we shouldn't do this. Even when you're marching towards the Capitol, all that time to say, you know what, this is stupid. I shouldn't be doing this. But what's funny is I found a video on one of these articles I found where they actually caught someone saying, hey, let's storm the Capitol. And everybody started walking towards the building. So like whenever that moment happened, and you're one of those people that saw everybody storming, it's like, okay, let's go. But you know what? Let me go home instead. So any of these 535 people or the other 300 plus, no leniency. You could have stopped anytime. So, and the article also mentioned that more than 200 people were or wanted or either arrested who assaulted police. 200 people. So again, combined with all that stuff, I mean, fortunately, as we said the other day, no officers were killed legally or killed because of the riots, because that would totally change the perspective for all these individuals involved, even if one person, as far as one of the police or anybody in the building working, would have died. Now, of course, mentioned there were people that died, because of this indirectly from natural causes. One person got shot, and one of the rioters got shot, and she died later because of that. But I'm not going to go too much into that. But yeah, that happened. Um, but yeah, now yeah, so no leniency there. That what happened there. That many people. That's a ton of people, dude. A ton. And I imagine if you're working in that building, having no idea, you obviously know people are outside, but you're not expecting them to storm the building. So imagine going to work and having people just storming the building, a place that's supposed to be safe and secure, and knowing there's nothing the cops can do because there's so many people out there. So I'm with you. No sympathy for these folks at all. They're going to get whatever they get. They deserve it. For anybody that considers them heroes, what I'd say is, if you're considering these people heroes, I say, did you think the same thing about those people who were rioting any other time? People, the ones you claim were BLM, even though they probably weren't. Did you consider them heroes too? What's the difference? It's the same action. It's rioting, just because it's a different venue of the rioting and different reasoning, perhaps. What's the difference? Are these people that rioted criminals too, like you call these other people? I'd say there's no difference at all. None. They're both committed crimes, whether it be rioting at the Capitol, whether it's breaking into one of your local establishments. Both of them are stupid. Both of them are illegal. You're both criminals. And if you don't feel the same about both, then you're probably a hypocrite. Consistency is important. If these people are heroes, then why aren't these other ones? Period.
I mean, the I feel like the 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 Black Lives Matter protest, number one, they weren't they weren't protesting the same thing, but more importantly, the the January 6th deal was like, how crazy are you willing to show up for a guy who doesn't give a fuck about you? Like Donald Trump is gonna
Donald
go.
Trump cares about the people. Didn't you hear? You didn't know this?
he might care about the PR in the moment, but that's some Howard Stern shock jock radio shit, man. Like, imagine willing to take a bullet for somebody who literally would not piss on fire to put you out. So that is the wild part to me, is that and we talk about that cult like following. It's like we talk about false idols. Hell, we've talked about false idols before on Cal Park Bros. That's the shit that's wild to me. I can't listen. I can imagine taking a bullet for my wife. I can imagine taking a bullet for my children. Hell, I can imagine taking a bullet for my mom, my sister, fraternity brothers, motherfucker, you too, Jason. And a cast of other characters that I hold dearly within my community. I can't imagine taking a bullet for a motherfucker who don't even like me.
Dude, as soon as you said cult, I immediately thought of one of the songs I've grown to really love so much in recent years, in the last 10 years or so. Do you remember back in like the 90s, a group called Living Color?
Oh yeah, cult of personality.
Yes, exactly. So as I've heard that song more and more, I listen to the lyrics and the words of that song. And if anybody who knows that song or it doesn't know the lyrics, listen to the lyrics. Everything in there, if you think about it, including actions like this, if I'd never thought about till right now that you can throw Trump and his supporters in that. All the lyrics of that song really truly fit everything when it comes to Trump and his followers. When it comes to him saying any sort of stupid thing, and even though it's not true, it makes no sense, people believe it. Like 1 and 1 plus it makes 3. If Donald Trump says it, these people will think it's, oh wait, you know what? Donald Trump is right. He's an innovator. He's thinking differently. Maybe 1 plus 1 does equal 3. That so yeah, think about that. Anybody who doesn't know that song, it's called Cult of Personality by a group called Living Color, not In Living Color, not like the TV show.
That's the show.
Living Color. Find it on YouTube, wherever, listen to the lyrics, and that is the epitome, I think, of Trump followers and Trump supporters. Now, I will say, maybe not all of them. I'll say that not all of them are like that, but these people like this, these 800 some people, they're probably like that. There are the Trump cult of whatever personality he has, if any.
Yeah. Here. Yeah. We're gonna have to keep a watchful eye, man, because this is just the first sentencing. I know for a fact at least 20 others have already pleaded guilty. So yeah, it'll be a moving target, man. We'll just have to keep an eye on it, because that's the only way to really get a handle on this, is just to pay attention. Because I guarantee there's going to be some asshole on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, still trying to tell you, because again, they have no concept of reality nor like local politics, and that's why they still want to bring up critical race theory for their kindergartners.
Excellent segue, Terrence. Excellent segue. You're getting better at this.
I am. It's almost like we practiced this earlier in the week, Jason. That concludes our segment on the first Capitol riot sentencing. Coming up next, we're going to talk about critical race theory and why it matters or doesn't matter to maybe some people that you've been hearing complaining about it. Coming up next on Cal Park Bros.